good afternoon, or good morning for those living in Yeppoon and the Rockhampton areas. My name is Cecilia Jane Rucker, that's Ronnie, or Ron for those who haven't been following my transition journey so far on social media, which you should. And I welcome you on behalf of the Rucker family for this special eulogy celebrating the life of Kenneth Charles Daley. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work, play and gather. That being the Darramawal people of the Rockhampton and Yeppoon regions, and the Gundagara people, got it out, of the Camden Valley, Narellan, Wingecarribee, Wallandilly and Goulburn Mulwaree regions. We pay our respects to our elders, past, present and emerging, and we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples gathered here today. We also acknowledge the LGBTQA+ peoples of the Rucker, Daley and Harvey families, as well as their relative family links, past, present and emerging. We pay our respects to those amongst the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer and asexual communities who have worked to support the improved health and well-being of their peers, children, family, friends and country. We honour the elders in the diverse communities of which we are a part of, and we celebrate the extraordinary diversity of people's bodies, genders, sexualities and relationships that they represent. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, today is a celebration of life. For some, it's a day of mourning. For others, it's a time of remembrance. For many of us, we can't be physically present in Rockhampton today to celebrate Kenny's life. So for many of us, we are doing the next best thing. Whether we are at home sitting on our lounge chairs and seats and sofas, or at the RSL club having a nice meal, or even watching the live stream at Kenny's favouring watering hole, known as the Sutton Forest Inn, or the Sutton Forest Pub as it's commonly known, or the Sutto, we are here, together, to reminisce about the old times and to laugh and enjoy the stories that Kenny brought us. And all of this will be happening whilst we're kicking back in our lounge room seats or at the bar or having a cold one. Preferably with a schooner of Tooheys Drought, that's Tooheys New, a Powers Bitter or a Forex Gold. And yes, Kenny, we know about port. It has a darkish colour, a rich texture, but it tastes terrible and it gives you one nasty heck of a hangover. So, how do we remember a legend of Sutton Forest? How do we remember a member of the Daley family? Where do you even start? I've known Kenny personally ever since the day I was born. The first time round, that is. So, what can I say about him? Can I talk about the classic breakfast of legends known with a can of Coca-Cola and a smoke? Can I talk about the numerous games of cards that were held at my nan and my mum's house? And who fought euchre was a card game for those 18 years and over? Or can I talk about the many birthdays and Christmases that Kenny was a witness to, including trying to reverse in a remote-controlled semi-trailer truck? There are so many moments and memories that I can share about Kenny that we will probably be here all day. So let's get on with the key moments that stick out the most for me. And please bear with me here. My memory bank is a little tad fragile. First off, Kenny loved his music, especially J.O.K. Johnny Be Good, Johnny O'Keefe. As a kid, when Kenny came to my nan or my mum's house, J.O.K. would hit the turntable or cassette deck so fast that it became a regular routine. You get the best of J.O.K.'s record or cassette out of the rack, and then you had that on and playing once Kenny arrived. The song that he loved, and I grew up with personally, was She's My Baby. When that song played, the entire world stopped. Kenny and I would sing along, and for 4 minutes, counted 4 minutes. All the cares and worries in the world faded away. Ironically though, So Tough was also in high rotation, which fits the theme of our families to a T. Kenny also loved to sing. And who could remember such classics as Old 45s and even Charlie Pride's Mountain of Love? And when that song came on, the table in my nan's kitchen became a drum kit, and all you could hear was a chorus of voices ring out across the house. Now, speaking of my nan's house, let's dig into the memory ranks and dig out another memory. My nan would host Christmas every year, and this has become the platform for many a memorable moment. But none bigger when I was in my younger years. One year, I got a remote-controlled semi-trailer truck for Christmas. A Kenworth, just for the thrill. When you have truck driver blood running in both sides of the family, you can't resist the temptation to emulate or live out a lifelong dream. So naturally, Kenny and my other uncle, Daley, and yes, Davey, even though times have changed, looks have changed, and people have evolved, I still remember you after 7 years. So they decided they would take the truck outside, and it became a to and fro battle on see who would reverse the truck in properly. And it went a little something like this. I'm going to reverse it in properly. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, you're doing it wrong, you bloody dingus. Eventually, neither of them could reverse that truck in because, unfortunately, the truck broke. And although that moment was a little heartbreaking for myself, it would eventually become a sign of my later years in life. But that's for my autobiography and the audiobook to come down the line. But we're not here to talk about that yet. In the sporting field, Kenny excelled at it. Cricket was his game. And apart from many sporting endeavours on the field, there is one memory that sticks out. Backyard cricket, a Christmas Day tradition. In the air! Oh, not over the fence, you bloody dingus! Now it's in the cemetery! Go and get it! Rucker versus Daley. Throw out any civility and honesty because Christmas Day at my nan's house was the place to be. The RDH Trophy, the most coveted prize in all the sport. And although Kenny wasn't in attendance for most of the games played, it wasn't a backyard game without him present. So at my nan's house in 2006, we played a DVD of the 2005 match that was put together. Kenny and Dave, on cue and without exception, decided to play critique and pick apart Davey's performance. Now picture this. It is the 2005 RDH Trophy. The Ruckers went into bat first and set a very healthy target. There are 33 runs to win, and the fourth wicket of the Daleys had fallen. Daley comes up to the crease. He's the last wicket standing. He pulls off a couple of cracking shots to try and save the game. It is now 19 runs to win. Or was it 4? My memory's a little shot. Cue my younger brother Phil. Last ball of the match. Davey gears up to hit the winning runs. Phil comes in steaming fast, in the style of Dennis Lilly, and he lets a laser beam of a ball fly. Davey, however, instead of hitting the ball to get the winning boundary and break the duck that had been cursed the Daley family, decides to leave it. The end result? Leg stump, out of the ground, clean. The Ruckers win their 4th RDH trophy, and Dave is left to pick up the broken pieces of what could have been. So Kenny decides to pick apart David's batting performance, and well, you can imagine how that conversation went. You let an easy shot go? You could have won the game for goodness sakes. You know better to hit shots like that. Although in consolation, the Daleys eventually finally broke the drought the following year. And Nick, do you mind returning the trophy back to us? It's been 11 years since the last match. Apart from the sporting endeavours of cricket, the game of euchre was also Kenny's favourite thing. Now, the definition of euchre, which is a card game, according to the definition of dictionaries, is a trick-taking game with a trump. And no, we're not talking about that trump. It can hike. But rather, a suit of cards played by 4 players in teams of 2. Well, in traditional Daley style, let's throw the rule book out the window and instead play this game with 4 or even more individual folks instead. When Kenny came to town, euchre was on the menu. Now, for some odd reason and due to technicalities, which I haven't figured out until my adult years, we couldn't play the game back then because of some unannounced technicality that we had to be 18 years and over to play. And there was fears that the authorities would show up unannounced. But despite all of that, there were many a game of euchre played whether at my mum's house or my nan's house. Some games even went to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That's how dedicated this game is. And nobody played it with such determination than how Kenny did it. You could be in the lounge room of my nan's house. You fixated into your own little world. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere from the kitchen, you would hear, "Oh!" The sound of the agony of defeat or a bad hand that just got dealt. Now, one last memory of mine, although it's bittersweet for me, has to be the Farnborough Road Games of 2000. After my moment of glory being the first torchbearer for the Sydney 2000 Paralympic Games on its New South Wales road journey, which 23 years later would be elapsed by my first venture down Oxford Street at my first Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, my dad, my mum, my younger sister and my younger brother packed up the car and ventured off to Yeppoon for a week. And no, before anybody asks, we didn't go via Coffs Harbour or the coastal roads. Now, there was something about throwing up in the car every couple of minutes. We had the day all planned out. Swimming events first, then darts. But the rest of it was a blur to me. The swimming events came and went, so I was off to the darts event. The object of this event is very simple. Hold the torch in one hand, a dart in the other, and try and hit the bullseye in one shot. Many tried, but with no success. Up comes Kenny. I was calling the event at the time on my cassette recorder, remember those? And the dialogue went something a little along like this. Kenny steps up, Kenny close to the microphone. Whoosh. Oh, he's done it! Kenny has done it! You little ripper! Then out of nowhere, my uncle comes in, Davey. You jagger! Back to me. Gold, gold, gold! And then back to Davey again. Do it again! Do it again, you lucky fluke! Now, I can't remember what happened next, but after that moment, my mind ended up going into a very bloggy under pressure here. Now, was it something about a rotisserie chook in an oven? Now, I can go on and on and on about the many stories about my memories of Kenny. But as I said before, we're going to be here all day and we're going to miss the live stream of the service. But on a personal note to finish up this speech, although Kenny may no longer be with us in a physical sense, he'll always be and forever will be with us in a spiritual sense. I never got the chance and the opportunity to say my final farewells to Kenny, as I was on ambassador duties for Sydney World Pride and Mardi Gras. But if I did have the opportunity to see him one last time, it would go something a little like this. Kenny, although that I am different to the person that you grew up knowing, I am proud to have been your little nephew. now turned niece. Although the sands of time have passed and I never got the chance to say goodbye to you proper, your larger-than-life presence will be missed by those who knew you and by those who have been blessed by your bright and shining presence, even to the point of brightening their darkest day. Now, we may have had our moments in both a positive and negative light over the years, but I'll forever remember you and the impact that you have had, not just as a member of our family, but also as a valuable member of the communities that you have left in a lasting legacy. Thank you, Kenny. Your job is done. Take it easy and rest easy, mate. Or should I say, dearie? 10-4. We'll take it from here.